Tonight we're going to talk about faith coming to the rescue. And I've got a picture that I wanted you to see, and I'm hoping that it will show. Is it up? Recently I used our cat in a lesson, an example, and I received this picture in a text message that our cat was stuck in a tree. And I think the consensus was in the neighborhood that the fire department needed to be called. Someone mentioned they needed to rescue the cat. And I thought about the idea of Matthew chapter 9, verse 18 beginning, where we find that there are people that come in contact with Jesus who need to be rescued. While Jesus was saying these things to them, behold, a ruler came in and knelt before him, saying, "My daughter has just died, but come and lay your hand on her, and she will live." Jairus is saying, I need rescue. My daughter needs to be rescued. Jesus rose and followed him with his disciples. And behold, a woman who had suffered from an issue of blood for 12 years came behind him and touched the fringe of his garment. For she said to herself, "If I only touch his garment, I will be made well." The word here for made well is sozo, means salvation. She's saying, I'll be saved. She's saying, I need to be rescued, because she sees that she has done all that she can in order to get well, and nothing has worked. I will be saved. She needs to be rescued. And when Jesus turned, seeing her, he said, "Take heart, daughter. Your faith has made you well." And instantly the woman was made well. What's interesting about this, there's one word when it says has made you well. That's one Greek word. And it's not the same as sozo before. It's actually a word that means your faith has rescued you. Literally. Her faith came to her rescue. She had a faith that actually saved her, and because of her faith, Christ was able to do the rest, bring her the rest of the way. Verse 24, really it's verse 22. It says, instantly the woman was rescued. So when I think about this cat that's up in the tree, I think about this next part. I zoomed out on the picture. You see how high the cat is in the tree. And I thought about someone else who climbed a tree because he was seeking to be rescued. And that's in Luke chapter 19. We have Zacchaeus. Jesus, entered Jericho and was passing through, and there was a man named Zacchaeus, and he was a chief tax collector and was rich, and he was seeking to see who Jesus was, but on account of the crowd, he could not, because he was small of stature. So he ran on ahead, and he climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him who was about to pass that way. Zacchaeus wants to meet Jesus. He is seeking rescue. And, I immediately thought about the connection between the cat. See, that cat didn't need to be saved. In fact, Gabriel was able to come outside with some cat food, and the cat literally walked down the tree. There was no need to call the fire department. And when I heard it said, that was a very small voice that said that. But it's funny, we talk about that need for rescue, and some might have looked at Zacchaeus and said, this guy's a tax collector. He has no need to be rescued. But Jesus saw something different. And we actually, in this picture, you really can't, I don't know if you can see it over here. That's Gabriel looking up, as concerned as can be for his kitty. And I want you to think about how Jesus responds to Zacchaeus. It says, and when Jesus came to the place, so he came to the base of the tree, notice it says, he looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for I must stay at your house today." So he hurried and came down and received him with joy. And when they saw it, they all grumbled. "He has gone in to be the guest of a man who is a sinner." And Zacchaeus stood and said to the Lord, Behold, Lord, the half of my goods I give to the poor. And if I have defrauded anyone of anything, I restore it fourfold. And Jesus said to him, Today salvation has come to this house, since he is also a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost. He said there are people who are climbing trees to see Jesus. There are people who are seeking him, and if you think about what we're striving to do in this community, the events that we're striving to start back, we had our supper with Santa. If you think about it, that's us going out on a limb for this community. And we want people to come, and we want them to see Jesus through the events that take place. We had, as I mentioned before, we had 80 people that came. We had 18 families connected. There's some very large families that were able to be a part of this event. We had 6 people who have mentioned that they're interested in Bible studies. I called a few today, was able to have conversations, and in fact, we have one Bible study set up for Monday at 4 o'clock. So I want you to pray for this individual and for Kenny and Pam Rochelle as they're going to be having that study at 4 o'clock here at the building. I want you to think about the events that we're striving to do. And the reason that we had we flipped the first Sunday and the fourth Sunday was so that we could have the cards that were sent out. You know what I loved? When I called Kenny and asked him about it, he said, I know that name. I wrote a letter to her. He wrote a letter to her, and that is in the mail to her. And she may actually, hopefully, receive that before the study goes on. See, we realize that what we're striving to do is not just write a card. It's not just to have pizza. We're striving to reach the lost. And we could look at the Zacchaeuses of the world climbing that tree and saying, what's the point of them being up there? We can grumble like others were doing and not actually see what's taking place. Jesus saw a soul that needed to be saved. And that's why he was willing to seek and save the lost. That's what we're striving to do. And so maybe you're at home watching. Maybe you've watched at a different time, and maybe there's a reason you clicked on this video because you're climbing that tree and you're wanting to make sure that you're rescued. Jesus is the only one that offers that rescue. Maybe you're here tonight and you're looking for rescue. Can we encourage you? Will you look to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of your faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured a different tree. He endured the cross, despising the shame, and he is now seated at the right hand of the throne of God. Will you be seated next to him? We realize that what Jesus did on that cross is that he died, but he was buried, and that he rose again. We can take part in that death, that burial, and that resurrection we find in Romans chapter 6. When we die to ourselves in repentance, when we are buried with him in baptism, we rise to walk as a new child, a born-again Christian, newness of life. Salvation can come to your house. Has it done so today? Maybe this invitation is for you. If you'll respond now while we stand and while we sing.